Hey, what's up, Boneheads? Thanks for checking out our last video for our Cooking with a Sous Vide 101 mini series here. We started off this series by doing an intro video with a steak, just showing you how a sous vide works, how to prep the meat, how to get it in the vacuum seal, cook it in the water, set the settings on your sous vide, and cook it all the way through. Since then, after the steak video, we followed up with a duck breast and then a goose breast, both very simple recipes, but still great tasting because of how easy and what a good job this device does. We could have ended the series there, but we thought let's do one more video, and we're gonna step away from waterfowl today and we're gonna do some venison. So it's early January here in Nebraska. Everybody's got their freezer full of from deer season here. A lot of good meat. We're doing something different today. We're not doing back straps or tenderloins or anything like that. We're doing deer heart. So we're stepping outside of the box. We're gonna do a deer heart today, and we're gonna do it in the sous vide. And I'm just gonna show you how simple this can be. You can take almost any piece of meat and make it taste great. So we're gonna go ahead and break this heart down. I'm gonna do a quick time lapse on it. I'm not gonna get real detailed on it. You can find a ton of resources online as far as how to break down a deer heart. We should end up with 2 to 3 good pieces of meat. They're gonna be different thicknesses, which again is where that sous vide comes in handy, because we're gonna take a couple different pieces of meat that have different thickness to them, and we're gonna be able to cook all of them to the exact same desired finished temperature. I'm gonna start low. We're gonna cook to about 122 degrees. We're gonna pull them off. We're gonna give them a nice sear just on the cast iron. We're not going outside, it's cold outside. We're gonna do a nice little sear on each side, put a little glaze over that and dig in. So here we go. We're gonna do a venison heart in the sous vide. Super simple, stay tuned. All right, guys, here's our 2 main pieces of meat from the deer heart. I will add, I've never actually cooked deer heart before, so I'm learning as we go here. I probably butchered this. I think you're supposed to be able to pull off 3 decent pieces of meat, but I made a miscut somewhere. But I got all these tendons ripped out or cut out, and everything looks pretty good. I tried to get some of that membrane off the top, a lot of the fat, so it's just meat here. Remember how I mentioned you're gonna have a little bit of a thicker piece of meat compared to the other one. So here's our thicker piece, here's our thinner piece. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna rub these down. I'm gonna go ahead and rub these down with a binder. I'm gonna hit them with some seasoning. And then if you were making these at deer camp, you might not have a vacuum sealer. If you brought your sous vide, you didn't bring your vacuum sealer. So I'm just gonna throw them in a gallon Ziploc with some butter. They're gonna go in our sous vide. I've got the sous vide set at 122 degrees. I'm gonna bump that timer to 1.5 hours, and then we'll finish it on the cast iron. So here we go. All right, guys, so here's the secret, or I guess here's how to do it with the Ziploc. Go ahead and get that lid open on your sous vide, and then you want to seal this bag all the way to about here. So bring it all the way across about 3/4 of the way, leave a little pocket open to get that air out. And you can do this in a bowl of cold water beforehand, but go ahead and dip that in there, and then just push everything in, and as all that starts to go underwater, it's going to push all that air to the top of the bag. Again, you want to get this completely out. There, it's starting to go. Right before you get the lip of the bag under the water, go ahead and finish sealing that. Perfect. I'm going to drape the top of that bag. Grab the camera here. I just went ahead and I draped the top of that bag over, clipped it. We've got our deer steaks, little Worcestershire rub. Nice thing is that liquid didn't get sucked out like it would with the vacuum sealer. So we got a little Worcestershire in there, our Texas rub, and then some butter. And again, we're cooking at 122 degrees. I'm gonna bump that timer up to 1:30 hours. And I'm gonna set a separate timer for about 1:20 hours, because I'm gonna want 10 minutes to heat up that cast iron to get that hot. So as soon as these come out, we can go ahead, finish them on the cast iron with a nice little sear. All right, Bonehead, so our deer heart steaks have been going here for just over 1.5 hours. I bumped the timer up a little bit because I was behind getting everything ready. Cast iron's been heating on medium heat. I don't know if you can tell from there, but you're just starting to get some smoke coming off that pan. Haven't added any oil yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull our meat out here out of the sous vide. See, it's been cooking in all that butter and then that rub that we added onto it. This is gonna be good. So I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna start by taking a little bit of, I'm using this Texas rub. It's great on beef, which any kind of steak like this, it's gonna be good. Go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of that on your plate here. And that's gonna coat the bottom of these steaks as we lay them down. Should have had a fork ready, but we'll just use our big tongs. It smells good, man. All right, so here we've got our deer heart on the plate. It's getting a little bit of that rub there on the bottom. We're gonna hit it again on top. It's been cooking in that butter. And again, we've got a thin piece and a thick piece, but they're at the same temperature right now because they've been in that sous vide this whole time. So now we're gonna go ahead and add our oil to the pan. We'll let that heat up for about a minute, and then we're gonna put those steaks in and sear them. So I'm gonna get the oil in the pan. I'm gonna switch up the cameras and we'll pick it right back up. All right guys, so it's probably been about 2 minutes since I last cut that video off. I got a little bit of that peanut oil in the pan. Everything's nice and coated down there. I think we're ready. We're gonna put these in now. Remember, we don't have to cook them very long. We're gonna go about 60 seconds aside, just enough to sear them, pull them out, and then when they're resting, we're gonna try to make a little sauce out of this, or a little glaze. When I was researching how to do this, again, first time making deer heart, I saw a couple things on there I like, so we're gonna give that a try. So, all right, here goes our deer heart into the cast iron. Got a good sizzle to it. All right, so now there's the thinner piece, and here's our thick piece. And again, we're trying to keep these flat on there. We want to keep these searing. Give it a good crust. All right, guys, I don't want to leave this on here too much longer. I don't want it to overcook, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this off now. Our thinner piece got actually a really good look to it. Get that on our BHW cutting board there. Gonna go ahead and finish this side. Now, if you notice here on the camera, see how this meat's starting to curl up a little bit? We might have been able to trim it a little bit better to try to avoid that, but I think we did it in the duck breast video when we finished that in the cast iron. One trick is you can take a cold cast iron and you can set that on top of it, and the weight will hold that meat down and cook it flat instead of getting that curl on the edges. So if you're unsure, or if you want to know what I'm talking about, check out our Sous Vide 101 video with the duck breast finishing the cast iron. So I'm going to take both of these out of here now. Get those sitting on our cutting board. All right, guys, so like anything, you want to let your meat rest, but we are going to go ahead, we're going to try to make a little whiskey butter glaze. So first thing first, you always want to test your product. Part of being a chef, right? We're doing a little Jack Daniel's Tennessee honey. It tastes good. So, not too much. Half shot glass there. Into the pan. Couple knobs of butter. And you don't want to overcook this. So, get your mitt on here and go ahead and just hold this up and kind of slosh all that around here. Guys, just a little bit of that whiskey butter. That's gonna be good. Let those sit here for a minute and then we'll cut into it. All right, guys, we're doing this the old-fashioned way. Of course, in the middle of filming this, my phone ran out of space, so I can't film on my phone. But I went ahead and I cut this this deer heart up. I went ahead and sliced it, poured some of that glaze over it. So here we go, super tender. I don't think I've ever had deer heart before today. I mean, that's a tragedy. This is delicious. Wow. You could do so many things with this. I mean, I'm gonna eat it like a steak tonight. And I don't think you really want to mix this meat into anything. I think you want to let this be the star of the show and serve it just like this. My goodness. Not tough. Super tender. It's not even heavy on the wild game side. It's kind of a more rich flavor. You get a little bit of that butter. You can't even really taste the whiskey, but that butter that we just poured over it on that glaze, I think really helps it. So again, that's wrapping up our Sous Vide 101 mini series here. We did steak as an example, we did duck breast, goose breast, and we finished it off with a deer heart. So tell you what, this machine does it all. Yeah, thanks for checking out another recipe with Bonehead Waterfowl. Stay tuned and tell us what you want to see next. It's time to chow down, boys. See you later.